Hi there, welcome to this restoration project of a lovely PAW 40 diesel engine. Now you can see I've got the bits here, I've got a container of bits and the crankcase and the cylinder head, and up till now we've stripped the engine, we've cleaned all of the bits, we've done some touch-up work on the head, just really subtle so it looks a little bit better, and a hole had been drilled in the side of the crankcase to add in a needle valve, and we've plugged that, returning it to how it should be, and the hole was just there, and I suspect you can't see that at this distance, which is good. Now we're almost ready to start building this back up and getting it in the test down, which is really exciting because this engine's had quite a hard life, and it was donated to the channel by Russell, and I'm really pleased and grateful for that. Obviously he knew how much I enjoy getting these types of engines cleaned up and back in the test stand running, so again thank you very much for that. But one of the problems I have with this engine is I don't have a Venturi or a carb to run it with. Not a suitable one really. The carb that it came fitted with, I believe, is an Irvine 2025 size diesel engine carb, and there's some paperwork that came with that kind of is why I believe that. Now the Venturi size on this is quite small, and I suspect the engine would run with this, but it wouldn't run very well and nowhere near maximum capacity. And I don't have another carb that I can use to run this. So what I'm going to do is, I've got a piece of aluminium here, and I'm going to make myself a Venturi, just like that they were fitted with originally, particularly for like sort of control line flying. And you can see here, this is a picture of exactly the same engine that I'm working on. And this was in Aero Modeler a few years ago. It's just something I screenshot, but you can see what the Venturi looks like, and that is what I'm planning to make in this video. Now one of the slight problems is that I don't know how big the hole in the middle of the Venturi should be, but I have done some calculations based on a number of different PAW engines I have, smaller than this 40, and also my friend David, who's got a 29, provided me the measurements of his, and I've done this graph which you can see here, and there seems to be a perfectly sort of more or less linear relationship between the area in the Venturi and the engine size. So the upshot of it is, it kind of tells me that this should be around about 7.7 millimeter diameter for the Venturi. So I'm going to knock it down to 7.5 mil. I don't have a 7.7 drill actually, but I would rather make it slightly smaller, because I know if you choke down a PAW engine, they still run lovely. Maybe not quite as fast, but they still run lovely. But I don't know what happens if you make the choke areas too big. So let's make it 7.5 mil, and we'll use this piece of aluminium to make it. And I've got a PAW needle valve here which I can use, which is big enough. So I'll get the lathe set up and we'll get this machined. Well, the first thing I'm going to do is turn down this section of aluminium here, so we create the boss which will fit into the crankcase there, and once we've got that section fitted, we can turn it round and we can work on the Venturi that's sticking out of the crankcase, and we can get the hole drilled in the middle. So I will get this faced up and get this turned down. Right, now I think we are almost there, and this should hopefully fit in the crankcase, or it might be just a shade too tight. Oh, it's almost there. Just needs a little bit off. So I'm going to take another pass off that, and then I will reduce this section here, this shoulder here, to the outside diameter of the crankcase there. Right, we've now got the boss turned down so it fits into the crankcase, and that's a nice fit. And we've got this shoulder that sits on top of the crankcase here and squashes the O-ring between the crankcase and the Venturi. And all I'm going to do now is just use this fine file just to take off the sharp machined edges just a little bit, like that. Just there we go. There. And now that feels much better. I'm going to turn this round and we'll start turning the main part of the Venturi that you can actually see sticking out of the engine, because most of this you don't actually see. So we'll get that in, and I'll start to turn this down, and we'll leave that little collar on here that's going to squash that O-ring down as we clamp it in. Right, now before I go much further in turning this down, I want to get the hole drilled in the middle for the Venturi, which is going to be 7.7 millimeters. Now I'm going to drill this in a few stages, gradually increasing the size of the drill bit. I don't want to go too heavy on it because I've only clamped the work quite lightly into the chuck. I didn't want to clamp it too hard because I don't want to put marks in the soft aluminium. I mean, I could always turn it around and just clean it up, but if I can avoid having to do that, all the better. So we're just going to centre drill it, and then we'll shove a drill right through it. Right, and the last thing is just to turn down the outside of this Venturi, and what did I say it was going to be? I think I'm going to take it down to so we've got the Venturi wall of about 2 mil, 2.5 mil, something like that. I'll have a look as I get down there. Right, now I've almost finished the turning on this. There's very little to do. I've still got the holes to do for the spray bar, but what I need to do now is I need to countersink this hole, and I'm basing that on other PAW Venturis that I've got. This is one for a 2.5cc, and you can see, hopefully, I don't know whether is that in focus. You can see it's a constant diameter all the way through, but it's just countersunk on the inside there. Now I could do with a really small boring bar to do this, and I haven't got one, so I'm going to try and use this centre drill. I think if I take it really steady we should be okay, and put a bit of lubricant on it. Hopefully, I mean, I should have perhaps done this before I turned down the bulk of this, but we'll see how we get on. Just do it nice and steady. Seems to be going okay. Just a bit more lubricant on that. slow it down a bit. That's looking okay. Let's hold our nerve. Right, we've now got the basic structure of this Venturi finished, and you can see here it just fits nicely into the crankcase. What we need to do now is drill a nicely centered hole for the spray bar. So I'm going to get that set up in the mill and we'll get that done. So we've got to put a hole through, but then we've got to counterbore it so it's nice and flat on the side of the cylinder, or there is a flat, so that the bolts can go, or the nut and the side of the spray bar can go in nice and snugly. But we'll see that anyway, so I'll get set up. Right. Right, well, I've now got this Venturi finished. I've got the hole drilled in the side and the flats milled on. So, and I've got it in the engine here, but let's take a closer look. Right, so here we go. And you can see there's the hole there and the flats milled on it. I've got an O-ring that just slides on there, and we can slip the spray bar just into the one side there, look, and it just goes onto that flat really nicely. And then we've got the nut which will go on the other side, that way around, and we can just tighten that up later with a spanner. I won't tighten it now, but there we go. You can see that fits there lovely, and we've got the hole more or less in the centre, very slightly over to one side, and there's two holes, one either side of the spray bar, and that will just fit in there nicely like that now, and I'm really pleased with that. I see no reason why this shouldn't work really well. So there we go. Well, I'm really pleased to get this done, and if I'm being perfectly honest, I thoroughly enjoyed making it. It's just a really nice machining operation and nothing particularly complicated or anything, and yet I think that looks just the ticket. I think this will be really good when we get this in the test stand. So anyway, I'm going to draw this video to a close now, and I hope you've enjoyed seeing me make this Venturi, and please come back, see how we get on in the next video where we actually get the new bearings in and pull this whole engine together. It'd be really interesting and nice to get a prop on it and just hear it flicking over, because I've never really done that and I've never heard this engine running. So anyway, thanks very much for watching.